Hi guys, welcome back. This is video 2 of You². We are starting off, I believe, with chapter 5, Quit Trying Harder. All right, quantum leaps cannot be achieved through incremental steps or through more of the same. You've got to shift gears. You have to follow new patterns of thought and action. The rules of what works and what doesn't always change when you're trying to make a move from normal performance to You². Stop and think about it. Here's the way it goes. More of the same usually just gives you more of the same. Nothing changes there. So, of course, if that's mainly what you're after, fine. Try a little harder, get a little bigger payoff, try a lot harder, and you can expect a lot better results, right? Well, possibly. But it's definitely not a sure thing. Sooner or later, you're going to reach the point where you can't try any harder. It may be that your spirit flags or that your physical and mental resources are stretched to the limit. And often, well before you come to that set of circumstances, you reach the point of diminishing return. Trying harder and harder starts producing less and less. Sometimes, in fact, intensifying your effort produces nothing except bigger problems. Let's say you have a problem with your children. As they get older, they want to do what they want to do. They don't want to listen. They want to follow their own will, their own way of thinking and doing and being. And you just want to guide them. But guide and protection from adults' parents may look like control, and they may be control. And as we try more and more, harder and harder to enforce that control over them, to enforce some safety around their care, it could be, in fact, making the problem worse. I do, in fact, know this from personal experience. Okay, back to the book. Okay, as a case in point, go back to the story of the fly. That little insect could have turned away from the window 180 degrees and followed the path of least resistance as it flew to the open door. A quantum leap to freedom. 10 seconds of effortless flight would have produced total success, while hours of frustration and panic spent beating its wings against the glass were destined to end fruitlessly in death on the dusty windowsill. Bruh. Now, this is not an argument against self discipline or persistence. Those are true virtues. Over a lifetime, they can make a powerful contribution to success and achievement. They are fundamentally to the development of your talents. It's extremely important to apply yourself diligently, and sometimes staying powers is what delivers a big win. But ordinarily, you will find that trying harder produces only incremental gains, not quantum leaps. Also, keep in mind that trying harder, even a lot harder, sometimes offers little more than a straight path to burnout. It does. Attempting to succeed through more of the same, being resolute, and relying on committed effort can blind you to better pathways. If you want to make a quantum leap, quit thinking about trying harder. More effort isn't the answer. And now, ignore conventional approaches. Get ruthless about something different. Ordinarily, we achieve conventional growth because we think along conventional lines. We experience reasonable performances, gains because we rely on reasonable approaches. We find ways to make modest improvements in our level of success because we go looking for nothing more. Quantum leaps require you to abandon the status quo. Instead of once again trying what you've always done, work, 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 maybe with even more intensity and determination, ignore the usual. Relax into it. You² requires an abrupt change in behavior. Look for a paradoxical move. For example, consider reversing your field. Try being illogical, ricochet. If you're trying to climb over a wall, open the door and walk through. If you're pushing against the river, try going with the flow. Use finesse instead of effort. You must do something new. The tendency when you stall out or begin to level off in your performance is to go back to the basics and do what you do best. But doing what you do best can be the worst thing you could do. It really doesn't matter how well you can do something if it's the wrong thing to do. Faith in the familiar sets the trap, and you spring it when you reinvest yourself in what logically seems like it should work because it usually worked in the past. To make a quantum leap, you've got to break out of the rut where you've been running. Second guess your routines. Overcome the addiction to your old mythologies. Set a new pattern. Okay? If things you're doing have quit working, stop doing them. Focus on what works. If you'll just quit what you've been doing instead of doggedly doing it harder, you at least create an opportunity, some white space to do something else. Quantum leaps come when you seek the elegant solution. So look for an approach characterized by simplicity, precision, efficiency, neatness. It won't be as complex or time consuming as your present struggle. Overall, it will be less demanding of your energies and emotions, and it probably will not be familiar to you. You² calls for a fresh perspective, a deft move, a path of least resistance. There is a way you can do more with less. The third chapter, or the eighth chapter, if you will. I think it's 7 now. Think beyond what common sense would allow. What would common sense allow? Is common sense only common because it's a repetitive, something that we always do? Sounds right. Most of us can be found flying too close to the ground. Too often we don't give ourselves permission to soar. Why not? Fly high. It's time to start focusing on possibilities rather than on limits or obstacles. Making a quantum leap means moving outside your mental boundaries. If you'll rethink how you're thinking, you can multiply your performance potential. You must let your desires guide you instead of allowing yourself to be boxed in by perceived constraints. Seeking the quantum leap means violating the boundary of the probable. It means achieving well beyond the obvious. So don't limit your desires to what you think you can have. Start going after what you want. This means you must give yourself permission to dream, to risk. You must set yourself free. It's a must. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. A 10 or 20% improvement isn't the idea at all. That will represent only incremental gains. That might be an impressive performance in some situations, like if there were an unusual obstacle or very difficult set of circumstances. But while such a goal might be challenging, it would not represent a quantum leap. Instead of an additional 10% or so, a quantum leap precedes a dramatic and multiple gain, an exponential increase. Quantum leaps are by definition rather astounding, certainly unconventional. Don't get the idea that absolutely anything you can think of is possible. It isn't. But in some areas of your life, what lies within your reach is enough to stagger the mind. You can double your level of success, triple it. Far beyond that, you can leverage up your performance to the second or third or fourth power or beyond. True, there are limits, but you don't need to worry about them. Your real limits are far beyond your artificial mental boundaries. The real limits won't box you in, but the false ones you're carrying around in your mind are all a self imposed prison, one of your own creation. So, how do you break out of the jail? Through surrender. You have to forfeit some, some of your old beliefs and sacrifice some of those sensible thinking patterns. So-called common sense can be a curse that puts a ceiling on how far you reach and how far you can fly. You², the quantum leap strategy, is based on uncommon sense. Now, let's suspend the disbelief, I'm sorry. Act as if your success is for certain. Instead of holding back because you don't have hard proof that you can make a quantum leap, see if you end up with the evidence proving you can't. Just make the jump. Act as if your success is guaranteed, and then see which set of ideas you should believe in. Your mindset for the moment may be flawed by doubt, skepticism, but that's not the point. The idea of making a quantum leap in your performance, jumping from your present level of achievement to one several stages higher and one bold stroke, is an alien idea. All right, you haven't been trained to think that way. You may have definite reservations about the possibility that you can make such exponential improvement at all, particularly with less effort and in a very abbreviated time period. The experts generally agree, though, that people typically use only about 10% of their true potential. If we accept that argument, and even if there were no other resources outside of yourself that you could bring to bear on the situation, you still could do 10 times as well as you've been doing. Your skepticism, which you presume is based on rational thinking and an objective assessment of factual data about yourself, is rooted in mental junk. Your doubts are not the product of accurate thinking, but habitual thinking. You're just doing this over and over. It's just something you're programmed. You're programmed. We all have been programmed. We're programmed from birth to behave a certain way, to react a certain way. It's up to us to change that programming if we're saying we want to see something different. You change the channel on TV all day long. Change your channel. Okay. Years ago, you accepted flawed conclusions as correct. You began to live your life as if those warped ideas about your potential were true, and ceased the bold experiment in living that brought you many breakthrough behaviors as a child. Now it's time for you to find that faith you had in yourself before. If you want to be skeptical of some ideas that truly deserve to be called into question, challenge the thoughts and beliefs that have argued against your taking a quantum leap. Put those old, inhibiting ideas to the test by going forward with everything you've got. For right now, you've just suspended disbelief. You've just suspended disbelief. You don't have to be convinced that you can succeed in making a quantum leap. But don't keep on believing those old ideas you've been carrying around about your personal limits. It will make it easier if you hold off for a while on believing anything. Just act like you have complete faith. Merely do what you do if you knew you were going to succeed. Behave like you have that total conviction. Doubt is what does the most damage. So don't give it any mental space. Proceed boldly, as if it's completely inconceivable that you will experience anything than other successful quantum leap. If you must doubt something, doubt your limits. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. We'll be picking back up on focus on ends rather than means. Okay? I'll see you guys later.